We'll see how long this video lasts. I was getting the feeling that this iPad was starting to run out of storage. Is this my? That, is that? Oh, that's my red. That's the reason why it's running out of storage space. It isn't my black. Black's got 128 gigabytes. I think this thing's only got 32. So it was pretty much nearing the end of its video capacity. That's the reason why it was. I should have been using that guy down there. Um, but I forgot what I was going to talk about. I don't know if I uploaded the video to YouTube about size differences and how if you were smaller you might have been able to you might be better for learning how to cook food if you have children to to teach them how to cook food at younger ages because they're going to use lesser food and you know if they screw something up it's not going to be a big deal if they're fixing a little piece of food and then you'd be able to if you get them to a certain degree of expertise in fixing food you can introduce them to foods that require costly um, might require costly ingredients. And if you're a smaller person and you're working with costly ingredients, those ingredients are not going to cost a whole lot for you because there's a very little bit of you eating whatever it is. And to test it out and see the quality of it. But if you're a big person like me, working with something that's fairly small, your tongue is yay long, and the density and the amount of pleasure and taste and feeling is going to be on a greater surface area. That's probably also going to determine how well you can detect flavors. You know how good quality your flavor testing ability is with your tongue. Your tongue probably doesn't have any more taste buds than a smaller person. What ends up being the case is that you have bigger taste buds than they do, and as a result of that, more of the food needs to cover your tongue for you to have the same experience as a person who's smaller. It's probably the same sort of experience whenever it comes to sex. That a woman who has a small nipple is going to have much more um, elation and satisfaction from a little bit of touch versus a woman who has a very big nipple. Okay, someone who has a very big nipple, their nerve endings are going to be spread out a bit more, and so they need to be um, you need to rub more of them to get an arousal out of them, and so but you can be rougher with them too than the smaller ones. And I mean, you can't throw around a small person, and unless somehow they have developed the ability to avoid getting killed by bigger things, you know, because you don't want a big person being aggressive with a small person during sex unless the small person is very agile and can climb the bigger person, you know. This would bring, you know, me talking about things like this, there's bound to be somebody out there who writes fiction novels, science fiction, or just fantasy novels, where they're imagining a man and a wife who are of completely vast different sizes and trying to imagine what sex with them would, what sex between them would be like, and then coming up with all sorts of scenarios where they're having sex among people and they don't even and the people don't even know that they're having sex, and it's because their their sex is involved in a certain area of space and not with respect to being not having their complete body involved in the act. They could be, I mean, if it was a small person, it was a big person, they would be having sex in the ionosphere, whereas all the actions occurring at the bottom with all the other people, and they're not completely aware that these people are above there, making love. You know, that would be something. That would be a place you could go with as a storyteller to express just a very strange idea like that. To go someplace where nobody has gone before because they didn't think about it. And I think that's probably what people are attracted to when they listen to my podcast, is that I have a tendency to kind of go in places that usually only children go. But the problem with children is they don't have the capacity to use the lexical. That they don't have lex in their at their disposal. So when they're describing things, they have to use fewer words. That's another thing to consider, is that whenever you're talking about children discussing among themselves complex ideas, you need to use fewer words because they don't have words at their disposal. If they were to use the words that adults use, then that would be best for a story where the children actually were adults before, but then they became children. And for us to believe that they're adults, they're using longer words and they have different sensibilities about them. Or if you have children that have become adults, that um, they're going to be a bit more reckless. So if you look at Tom, uh, who's Tom Hanks in Big, and his characters, because he plays two characters. He plays a child. I mean, he plays a child in a man's body, and then that child gradually learns to become um, an adult, and then it gives the whole movie's about giving children the perspective of being adults, so that they know not to have that wish to want to be an adult. Because when you're a kid, you, as adults will express to you, you have a lot of things you can do that adults can't, because the adults don't have the time to do them anymore. Now, I'm one of those adults that would be an exception to the rule, but I'm not going to go out and get on a jungle gym, and I'm not going to hop 100 times, because my body can't do that anymore. I can't I can't even hop once or twice without wondering if I'm going to be able to do it again. And to hop once or twice is such a vigorous activity that it gets your heart pumping and it hurts your muscles and all sorts of stuff. But little kids can do that all day long, and the adults are like, how in the world can they keep doing this? You know, they're just bouncing off the walls, and we can't do that even once or twice. So, see this thing still going? Okay, good deal. Well, I've got on this camera, and I'm dumping to that drive, and it's already on there. That will go over to that machine, because that machine's connected to the net. This guy isn't. I will never connect this guy to the net, and the reason why is because I always get hackers on Windows machines. So the only time I'm using this guy is to convert video from this camera into equirectilinear format, which is what they prefer for Viewer 180. You can see the difference. I can show you the difference of regular video to equirectilinear video. And so the way you do it, so shut down all these windows, and then I'll go into one of the folders where I know that I can get access to the video. You can actually see it on the screen, but I'll bring up and this video. Okay. So let me bring this full screen, and I'll bring this guy around, and you can see on the screen there. Let's see if I can. This is equirectilinear video format, and if I start this playing, let's see if I can make this bigger and start it playing. Actually, this is a photo. I didn't realize I hit a photo. Let's kill that and then go back in there and see if we can pick up a video. So it's on the desktop, DSIM, camera. It's an InSiv, that's video. And so if I double click on that, I get this, like that. And this is what it looks like. So this is equirectilinear format. And notice how it's warped at the bottom. You see how it's warped at the bottom? That's how you know it's an equirectilinear format. Now, if I take that video, let me get out of this mode here. Hold on one second. If I close down that program, if I take that video that I had and I copy it and I paste it over here, it'll take it a while to copy it over there. It's fairly big, 5 gigabytes or so. Well, once it's over there, I'm going to do a simple change. I'm trying to keep this focused here. It's very difficult to keep it looking at the video because I can't see the screen. But what it's doing right now is it's copying the video over. I'm going to rename the video to .mp4 because the difference between the Insta360 Evo INSV format and MP4 is just the simple suffix. So if you change the suffix, it changes the format. And they're both MP4 formats. It's just one requires its own suffix so that the program will know what to do with it. But when the program turns an INSV format file into an MP4, it goes through a transformation of the video content. But if I took an MP4 and I renamed it to INSV, then the program wouldn't know that I was giving it something that it didn't create, that the camera didn't create. So I say yes, I want to change that. And so now if I go and double click on that, then actually this thing is going to complain because it doesn't have a codec for it. But if I go over here and I say open with, let's open up the studio and then drop it in. That would be the way to get it to view it. So I take that and then I take this and I drop this in here. So it opened. You know what? It automatically did the conversion, which is not what I wanted it to do. It figured out for itself that it was an INSV, but let me see. I'm pretty sure I can get this to open with movies and TV. There it is. But it's also doing that conversion too. It figured it out. It figured out that it was a spherical projection which is sad. What is really happening on that? What really it should be showing you is it should be showing you a black space with two individual images, and each of them looks kind of spherical, and that's what that's the original format of what it is. And you would have to view it on something like a VLC or some normal player that doesn't understand 360 degree or 180 degree video, because there's nothing special about 180 degree or 360 degree video. It doesn't come in equirectilinear format. It comes in as a black backdrop with two circles, and each circle has got a fisheye view of the content, left and right, and it then has to do the transformation on that to turn it into equal like a rectangle, rectilinear, so it's linear, so it's equal rectangular linear. It's trying to express an idea through the wording. What it's doing is it's taking something that's got a kind of a polar coordinate system to it, and it's warping it to make it look like it would have a square frame, but it doesn't frame things with a square frame. So the parts that are outside of the square frame end up warping to the edges of the square external, and that's called equirectilinear format. And the reason why it does it that way is that when you're viewing on a VR headset, it's going to take a squared subset, or a rectangular subset of that view, and it's going to put it on the screen on the VR headset's displays. And as you move your head around, it's adjusting the frame of that content. It's adjusting how the frame is going to be mapped from the VR camera content to the display, to the VR headset. It's possible the VR headset has all of that imagery. It probably has a buffer that can take in the entire presentation of the VR content, and then the hardware crops off the part that it can actually show for each eye, and so as to make it easier for the video to be shown on the headset does its own conversion, or own simple transformation from the equirectilinear format into what each eye is going to see. And anyhow, oh boy, the reason why I'm using the VR 180 cameras, part of it is, one part is that it's fun. One part is that it's realistic. That you can't edit it and people can't dispute it. I mean, if you do something on VR 180 and you can't hide anything, then there's nothing they can really dispute. To do magic in front of a VR 180 camera is going to be so much harder than doing magic with an old video camera, especially if you can't edit. And so you have to be really quick, and you have to really hone in on that art, because there's nowhere you can hide anything. Even if you drop something, people are going to know that you dropped something, you know. So you can't really do magic in front of a VR 180 camera. If you do, you're just really better, a better magician. And if you're somebody who casts people, you're looking for a cast for a play or something, and and you're not looking at them in real time, you're looking at them from a VR 180 presentation. You'll be able to cast more people, but you'll be able to see what they're not doing, what they aren't doing. I mean, you'll be able to do the sort of things you would do in person on a VR headset, and having somebody have a VR 180 camera somewhere else in the world, where you're casting people for, but rather than having your subordinate casting them, you could be doing it yourself and be doing it over the internet. And you could, without having to fly out and go and see these people. VR 180 just presents a lot more opportunities, but it's not going to be a format, since it's such it's such a different format than the way you made movies before, with a rectangular display. All of your techniques and skills that are associated with framing shots is going to be worthless with VR 180, because VR 180, you can't frame anything, you can't hide anywhere, you can't use stunt people. If you have actors of various sizes, you can't frame them in the shot and make it so that they can be together. People are going to be questioning their differences of size. It's going to be like if you were making a film for VR 180, like making rather than making a film, it'd be like you were doing theater, because it's the same concerns of. So VR 180 format is a perfect video format for somebody who's a theatrical performer, because and different from theater, you're not looking at an audience that's out there. In VR 180, the theater that you do is centering around the camera. The camera is the audience. There is no audience over here or over there. The camera is the audience. And so you have to retell the story with respect to the camera being in the held spot. It's harder with 180 than it would be with 360. With 360, you would just be acting and you would be positioning where you are as actors, but you would have to keep aware that if you're going to edit in 360 or 180, that and you have multiple camera shots, it's still going to be very difficult to do with multiple cameras, and it's probably just best that you use one camera. But it's going to change. It's going to change how you tell your stories. It's going to be easier and harder in different ways. It's a different format. It's not going to be easy to go from an existing film to VR 180, and so they're going to go into it kicking and screaming. People are going to find reasons why not to use virtual reality, because it's a different kind of experience. And there are going to be people that'll say that, well, this is a fad, this can't last. And the reason why they want that is because with frame shots, you have the capacity to show much more information quickly than you can with VR 180. However, with VR 180, the advantage is that you feel like you're there. So maybe you can do a combination of the two things, like being able to be there, immersed in the experience, but then as you're sitting in the immersive experience, here's a note. Imagine watching a film in VR 180 at a screen that everybody normally sees, but in VR 180 you get an extra experience to that, and that is kind of like they did in this one claymation, where they would show you the claymation, but off on the sides they would show the behind the scenes. So the behind the scenes would occur in the VR 180 of the thing, and if you had the software to do it, you could swap between the framed view and the alternate views. You know, if you wanted to watch the director being interviewed while you're watching the film, you could jump back out, see the VR 180 format where the director's sitting over here being interviewed. You could listen to their audio and turn the audio on the movie down, and then turn theirs up so you could see them talking. And then over here you could have the music director over there talking about something. So there is a great potential to have more content in the experience with VR 180 than you could have with 2D. In that sense, the other ways this could happen is that you can see the 2D content. You can see it in the obvious one is to put it in the theater, and so you have a theater experience. You have a real-time VR theater experience watching something in 2D. That's a common one. But what if you had multiple VR 180s views, like maybe it'd probably be too costly to try to, yeah, I don't know. But the thing is it offers a different form of expression and storytelling. And it's going to take some time for people to figure out how to master or what to do with this format. The more obvious things to use them for is documentaries, because with documentaries you're trying to immerse people in an experience, and it's very tough to do that with framing of shots, because you don't see to describe what might happen in an area, like if you're in a car and you're being interrogated and stuff by soldiers and stuff. You're not going to be able to frame that shot very well unless you can get out of the car and frame them looking into the car. It's a whole lot easier to get a correct idea by just having a little 360 camera inside the car, taking all the video, just make sure that it can't be seen by these soldiers, and you can see them interrogating you and whatnot. And it will give the audience a better sense of just how much danger you went through to get the footage, and they'll be more thankful to you than if you had framed the shots normally and you're trying to piece together a concept of what you went through and what it looked like as you're being interrogated by soldiers. So I'm going to drop this video and I'm going to go over and try to get this VR stuff, what's in this camera or what's in that video that's I'll put on that drive, is of me using our electric mower. And I spent a whole hour mowing the lawn